Hi guys, Rupert Lowe, the Reform UK MP, seems to be the party spokesperson on immigration, which is funny because Reform don't seem to talk about anything else. But he keeps banging away at this topic, hoping that the Home Secretary perhaps will fall into his linguistic trap or something. Rupert insists on using the wrong terminology, which I believe undermines his position and results in government ministers basically ignoring him. Here he was talking about detaining illegal migrants, which of course he means asylum seekers. It's all getting a bit boring, quite frankly.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I'm pleased to hear from the Home Secretary that you're making progress with our neighbouring countries in Europe in stopping this, what I now call a national emergency. But as the Home Secretary probably knows, that's only a third of the issue. The boat crossings have increased. Will she consider detaining securely those people who do arrive here? Because if we're to solve this problem, we have to remove the incentive to come to Britain. The questions I'm asking are uncovering quite how much the cost of these illegal migrants is to the country.
Okay, there are a few things to respond to here. Obviously, he understands the difference between what an asylum seeker is and what a so-called illegal migrant is. He understands the difference between somebody arriving in the country fleeing persecution and somebody who has overstayed their visa. But he continues to use the wrong terminology. He's talking about asylum seekers here. Because if somebody's an illegal migrant, then how is the government housing these people? If they have overstayed their visa, they're likely to be deported. So we're talking about, two different things here. But he's trying to mix the two of them together. He obviously knows the difference, but he's relying on Reform UK voters and supporters not to know the difference or not to care about the difference. Now, when it comes to detaining them, well, generally asylum seekers have to stay where the accommodation is provided. They're not allowed to work. They're not allowed to access benefits. So they're not allowed, in a sense, to move around, and they don't have the means to do so.
And this is now, as I say, a matter of national emergency. The third part of the equation is those illegal migrants who are here, and I had a case in my constituency, Great Yarmouth, only this week, where one alias Amulata was convicted of drug dealing, a 17th offence, a very light sentence. So will she commit to deporting those illegal migrants here who are damaging the interests of the British electorate?
Okay, then why didn't he reach out to his old friend or good friend, Lee Anderson? Lee Anderson used to be the deputy leader of the Conservative Party. So this individual that Rupert is talking about obviously was up to no good when the Conservatives were in power, and probably when Lee Anderson was in charge of or deputy leader of the Conservative Party. So why is his criticism directed at the Labour Party? Shouldn't it be also directed at the Conservatives, who were in charge a few months ago? He should really speak to Lee Anderson. Now, when it comes to deporting people, well, you can only deport people to a country that is willing to accept them. So I don't know where this individual is from, but it's irrelevant. Because if the host country, the country that he's coming from, says, no, we're not going to take him back, then what do you do then? Strong-arm them? Bribe them? I don't know. See, it's a bit like what Richard Tice has been saying about dumping people in France. You can't really dump people in France. You have to ask for permission to dock in a French port and then offload people. But if you do it a few times without the permission of the French authorities, then you're going to be in a bit of trouble. And then, you want to have some sort of agreement with the French where they're trying to stop boats from leaving the French coast in the first place. Well, what do you think would happen? What do you think the French would do if you started dumping people on the French coast? I don't think they would take it pretty well. So this is all pretty much nonsense. This is a joke party, a protest party. They don't represent anything. They don't have any solutions to any problems, and whatever solutions they are presenting are nonsensical. He's using the wrong terminology here. If he actually used the right terminology, then perhaps the Home Secretary could respond to what he's saying. Because if he's talking about illegal migrants, then how is she supposed to respond to that? Because you're talking in reality about asylum seekers. But if she were to reply with, well, the illegal migrants are whatever, then she's playing into his trap. of using the wrong terms. It's nonsense. He's been doing this before. He's been asking for the numbers of illegal migrants in hotels and stuff like that. But this is nonsensical because illegal migrants are not in hotels. Because if they're technically illegal, which is not the right term, they would be deported. They have overstayed their visa. They have abused the conditions of their visa. They're marked for deportation. These are not asylum seekers. But once again, Rupert knows this. He just hopes that his voters and the people who support Reform UK don't. And many of them don't. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.